27 and I've never had a boyfriend. Wow. I feel like I've always had a situationship, was always, finding somebody to, link up with when I didn't give my life to Christ. But now that I've given my life to Christ, it's like, where are you at though? And I also struggle with it, y'all, because I'm like, am I doing something wrong? Am I like not pleasing God to where I, am not getting this thing? But then I realized God is a good gift giver and he gives good gifts and he makes it rain on the righteous and the unrighteous. That I am not necessarily doing anything wrong or right, but you want to make sure that your heart is set completely on Jesus before you worry about setting your heart on somebody else. That's actually what's given me peace, because I don't want my husband to be idolatry in my life, because I want Jesus to be the center and I want my husband to pull me closer to Jesus. So there is no like me only focusing on my husband once he comes and leaving Jesus on my back burner. I believe that there's beauty in being single and not being in a relationship, but by no means am I a virgin. I'm not like the Virgin Mary. But at the end of the day, I had a past, and I believe that my past also played a role in how I carry my future. So I feel like I have this guard up when it comes to certain men, even Christian men, because I thought that this guy, y'all, was going to be my husband, and he was very much like, oh, like I have to see you, because this would have been long distance, right? I have to see you to, gauge if this is, the right fit. And then he told me, hey, I think that we would be better off as friends. It's too far of a distance. And I'm like, oh, okay, well, you knew that when we were friends for over a year that we were X amount of, miles apart. um and I'm like, okay, cool, respect the decision or whatever. It stung a little bit because I thought that that was my husband. But not even 3 days later, he was already dating someone. So that is kind of like my experience. And I've also always felt, when I was not saved, that I was always like the backup option, the second choice. Like they always wanted me, but it was like they could never fully give themselves to me. I never had that feeling of like intimacy with somebody or that deep connection. It was just sex masked as intimacy. And that's what I've struggled with, So Jesus is actually teaching me how to be content with just him and him alone. But I'm like, I have this desire in my heart now. What do I do with it? Because I don't. I'm honestly worried that one day I'm gonna get to the point where I'm just like, I don't even want this, and I've told God to take the desire away, and it just won't go away. But I don't want to be like looking at the now and being like, you know, it's not going to happen, because that's not what faith is. I believe in something that I don't see. And, I don't know. It's like now all of a sudden men are trying to pop up, but these men that are popping up, there's nothing wrong with them, but they're not to the standard that I would like now that I've given my life to Christ. Some of the things that they still do, God has delivered me from, and there it makes no sense for me to partner with that if he's already delivered me from it. So I'm just sitting patiently and waiting on him to make this come to pass, because I don't want to make it come to pass on my own. Because if I choose on my own, I know how I've chosen. I've chosen out of me wanted to nurture somebody. I've chosen somebody based off of me wanting to them to be saved. And I'm like, I want it to be a divine matchup. I don't want to, really do too much, but I want to put some effort into it, but I don't want to put too much. But I'm just like, if God has given you a desire, I believe that God is faithful to allow that desire to come to pass. But I also believe that, there's things that we have to learn. And if we skip all the lessons just to get to the blessing, then we'll not know how to properly steward the blessing. So, a lot of things that God has taught me was about boundaries and what was it that caused me to slip in the past. So whether that be hanging out with somebody past a certain time, or, allowing them to love bomb me and falling for it, or thinking that a certain amount of communication or text meant that a person liked me more than they actually did. But there were certain things that, God was teaching me, especially to test the fruit of these men that were approaching me, and everything like that. And I do believe that some of these men might be saved, but hypothetically, like, if they weren't, would I want somebody where I'm having to fight my, my beliefs in my faith? So when I think about the Bible talking about the narrow path and the wide path, and many are on that wide path, but few are on that narrow path, it reminds me that, okay, if God has given me a desire for marriage, He knows that it's going to come to pass, but the path to destruction is wide. So more people are on that path. So it's going to be easier for people that are not living their lives for God to find a person that they're just attracted to, or whatever the case is, and they go for that, but they don't really actually know the biblical definition of love. So they're loving each other based off of their understanding of it, but me having a different understanding and a different revelation of it, and everything, and knowing that there's only a few, which is still a lot to us if we count in number, but it's still few to God in comparison to what He's created. That's why it's taken us a little bit of time to get to where we need to be, or not where we need to be, or where God has called us to be, because we will be completely okay with Jesus and Jesus alone. And we know that, and God knows that, but God also knows our heart and our desire that we have. And we have pure, fruitful desires. I believe that God will work with it. But, there's certain things that we have to learn. There's certain things that we need to go through, and everything like that. Even God is teaching me about marriage and relationships, even in the midst of like the trials and tribulations that I'm facing in my own home, with my family members, and things like that, and lack of communication, and what actually is intimacy and what is a relationship. Because something that I was praying to the Lord about a whole nother video, but I will share in this one just a clip bit of it, is like, when we think about, you know, a relationship and true intimacy, it's like there's plenty of people that are in a relationship. Let's say couple goes out to eat for dinner and they're just on their phone. Is that intimacy versus quality time? So like God is teaching me things like the difference between people that are just in a relationship and people that have an intimate relationship with each other. And we don't want to just be in a relationship for the sake of being in a relationship. We want an intimate relationship. We have to be careful who we, and very selective, who we are giving our bodies, our emotional energy to, because people are literally spiritual vampires, and they will drain the life out of you, even if they are appearing to be that light, but they are actually ferocious wolves in sheep's clothing. So we have to be very mindful of this. So be patient with God, and be patient with yourself, and know that there's nothing that you're doing wrong. God will teach you everything that you need to know. But just like being a mom, there's no way on planet Earth that even a book can be able to, and I'm talking about a self-help book, can be able to tell you all of the things to prepare you for motherhood. Because once you are actually in it, it's way different than not being in it and learning it from somebody else's perspective. So there's so many things that we're going to learn once we are actually married that we're not going to learn before. And so it's like a thing, like you got to just, it's just like a clinical. You got to be in the field and keep practicing it and keep working in it to be in it. But God is teaching us something in the midst of this. So I want you to not lose hope and not lose faith in God, but trust me, if anybody understands and relates, like, am I good enough? Is it gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? I asked God today. I said, God, am I gonna be married by the time I'm 30? Am I gonna have kids by the time I'm 30? Like, what's going on? And everything like that. And I told him honestly, y'all, I don't want to be like Sarah. I don't want to have a baby at 80. Okay. But I really did tell him that. But yeah, I just want you guys to know that you're not in it alone. You have me to fall back on. Let me know how your single season is going, and what you're doing to stay grounded with the Lord, what you're doing to not, to remind yourself that it's not that you aren't deserving. It's just that it just hasn't happened yet. And while we're waiting on it to happen for us, we can still, because the Bible says, don't grow weary in doing good. It's good that you are trying to abstain. It's good that you are wanting a pure marriage and you have pure desires. That is good. That is pure. So don't get weary in doing that. Just keep going for it. And God will bless us when it's our season. Sometimes it's somebody's season, and a lot of times it's in your lens, it looks like it's everybody's season but yours. But trust me, God has us on, that timeline, and it's going to happen when it happens. But don't lose faith in him. Don't lose faith in yourself, that you are deserving of it and that you are worthy of it, especially if you have the desire, especially when the desire happened out of nowhere. Know that you are worthy, that you are deserving, and God loves you so much. But you have the perfect relationship with him, and he's going to bless you with somebody that is in alignment with his will. This is not a video to say God is going to bring you your husband prophetic word, but this is a video of, if God is giving you a desire, know that God is faithful, and remember that God is faithful, and God and you have a relationship before anybody else. It's you and God. It's always you and God. So be encouraged today. I love you guys so much. Thank you guys for watching my video. And yeah, it's hard, but it's not hard at the same time, because we have the Lord who is our strength. So make sure y'all give me a like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you guys in the next video.